Hi, my name is Victor Hidalgo, I'm 18 years old, and I grew up in Alhambra, California. For my literacy narrative assignment, I chose to give you all a documentary-esque video detailing where I began as a writer, and I think where I started developing myself not only in language, but in life in general. And in case you're wondering what the heck you're looking at, this is my first grade journal, and that is what I'm going to be talking about.
Angela, it's so cute.
I mean, I guess for reading it back, I feel embarrassed. I have my sister laughing at me over here. I'm not sure if you still remember how much of the stuff that I did while I was in your class, but do you remember what kind of student I was?
And now, without further interruption, let's go back to first grade. The story starts here, in the middle of Alhambra, on the street, Meridian and Commonwealth. I went to a very small K-8 school named Emery Park, which is in the center of Alhambra, and I spent about roughly 9 years there growing as a person, but what I want to focus on is the time I spent in first grade, which is the most important, I believe, in my beginnings as a writer and in developing my own creativity.
So it was in hallways like these where I actually developed some of the memories that I would write in these journals. Mrs. Cuevas would encourage us to write about just everyday life so we can develop a better way of speaking, a better way of writing. And it really helped a lot that I had a place like this, you know, to just grow and have friends so I can start to develop myself as not just a writer but as a person. Alright, so it was in classrooms like these that I actually experienced first grade, second grade. We had bungalows, and the school's slowly been changing a lot, but it was in humble beginnings, I believe, like in places like this small that I started developing myself as a writer, and where I found that little place where I could share what I had to say about the world, or just share my thoughts and have a little concise area to where to place it all. The school's obviously changed a lot. We didn't have any of these buildings before. The play structure is brand new. The handball wall is something that I actually talk about in my journals quite a lot. I spent a lot of time there. And that's the only thing that I could think of that's really the same. A lot has changed. So this is Mrs. Cuevas. She was my first grade / part kindergarten teacher.
K1 teacher,
yeah. K through 1, and I'm actually here with her because she was the one that encouraged me to write for a couple years in these journals that were my first actual outlet into writing and expressing myself. As you can see, I'm not that good of an artist, but the stuff that she had encouraged me to push forward in my writing and expressing myself, and it helped me a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you a few questions now, Ms. Gross, if that's okay.
Sure.
Do you still have your kids write in these journals?
Yes, I do. And I'm even with a K1 this year, I have a K1. Although they're different grade levels, both groups are writing in journals. Whereas K might just draw a picture and label, the first graders are writing.
And why do you have us write in these journals? Did you have a certain goal that you're trying to accomplish? Or?
Well, I just wanted to get everything out. I think in first grade and kinder, especially when I had you in first grade, I think it's good for kids just to get their feelings and thoughts out, and then we can organize them like through writer's workshop after. So that was my main goal of doing journals. It wasn't a way for me to correct or make changes in it. I just wanted them to be able to write a narrative, and I would write back and kind of hint to their incorrect spellings by me writing back to them.
When I was in first grade, we in a bungalow. We didn't have like the whole building here. Along with the changes of the school, was there anything like in the curriculum that changed that you maybe pushed back from the journals or pushed more to try to get the students to write and express themselves a bit more?
Well, for a while there, I had taken journals away. Instead of writing every day, we were only writing 3 days a week. Because, you know, new programs came in and new books. So I was trying to do more of that. But I found it kind of stifles the kids. And they feel like they can't write creatively. Sometimes I feel like they're just waiting for me to give them a prompt or waiting for the next lesson or mini lesson to say like, okay, it's okay, now let's write. Whereas I think with journals, and I think you should share some of yours, Victor, you really elaborated on personal things that happened to you or events. And I have kids this year who make things up. And that's okay too, because they are still going through a narrative, beginning, middle, end, and they're citing details and
Right.
stuff. It's like we are brothers and connected to each other. And I thought that, well, we'll never do that, but today that is helping. Today this is why I will finish today. Oh, you felt connected? I mean, see, and like, even though you didn't spell it correctly, it was close. Connected. No, but those are the reasons why journals are nice, because sometimes when you do the whole writing process, I think kids feel a stigma of, I've got to get it right and perfect. Whereas in a journal, it's a free write. You could just express yourself, which you did a lot. Because in February, you're writing 3 full pages.
Yeah, it was a very big outlet for me. I was able to get my thoughts down in a place where I thought that it'd be safe, and then someone that I trusted could read them.
And when I was little, I remember not being the most social person. Although I was excited to start school, I remember a huge fear that I had for having to make friends and not knowing how to express myself in a classroom full of strangers that I didn't know, faces I'd never met. But what these journals did was relieve some of that fear and some of that stress.
To this day, I still carry a journal around with me. I'm no longer the same old shy kid that I was going into first grade. I think people underestimate the good it does to give a young boy a place to express himself and to feel completely safe. Thanks to that journal, I have grown. I have become an extrovert. I have no longer fear of my weak language. I no longer fear my stutter. I learned to express my emotions so that others could understand them, which inversely helped me to understand them emotionally. I'm no longer shy.
I can accredit a lot of that growth to these journals, and all I did was write in them. But that's all I needed. All I needed was a place to write, a place to get my thoughts down, so that I could freely express myself outwardly, not just inwardly, and it gave me a freedom that I never knew before. I made friends, I laughed, I shared great times with some great people, and I don't doubt at all that if it wasn't for these journals and for Mrs. Cuevas, that I wouldn't be who I am today. And I'm very thankful for what she gave me in the form of a journal.